We call ourselves as the first integrated manufacturer of solar components because we not only manufacture the panels, but we also manufacture the encapsulants, backsheets, solar cells, and also modules. We are a part of NP Group, ENPEE, which is into the manufacturing sector for almost 60 years now. We have got 3,000 plus employees globally, and the turnover is around 350 million plus. Arjun, next slide, yeah. We have quite diversified business segments, like we are into the manufacturing of metal packaging, we are into printing of cylinders, home care products, we are into flexible packaging, cements, and our own design media house in India. Then we are also into construction and power cables. And the only arm that is into solar is Renew, which is based out of India. So you can see we have got two different manufacturing facilities, one in Bangalore and one in Hyderabad. And we have got offices spread around like Nigeria, South Africa, Mauritius, two in India, one in UAE, China, and Singapore. And Beckett Solar represents us in Europe, USA, Mexico, and also Brazil. And you can see our customers are widespread. We have got a good customer base in Europe and also in Africa, now and Central America as well as Latin America. Since, as I told you, we had a very good base in the polymers, since we were into flexible packaging for the past 25, 28 years. So we had a good expertise in polymers, and encapsulants and backsheets is more of a polymer technology. So that's how we thought we will venture into solar by initiating encapsulant manufacturing in 2011. So we put the first line of EVA with 600 megawatts, and we started off the dispatches in 2012. In 2013, we established first 1.2 gigawatt capacity of backsheets, and we started our offer with our exports in 2014. In 2015, we took over a company by the name of Solar Semiconductors, which was manufacturing OEM modules for SunPower USA. When we took over this company, the capacity was 80 megawatts for modules and 30 megawatts for cells. And in the last 4-5 years, we have taken it up to 750 megawatts for modules and around 130 megawatts for cells. And in future, we are planning some more expansion. In fact, in this year, we were planning to cross 1 gigawatt plus, but because of COVID, we had to defer our plans. But definitely by next year, we should be 1 gigawatt plus. One of the major strengths that we have is we have got our own laboratory or testing facility where we can carry out all the tests that IEC does except for one or two. We have got 7 damp heat testing chambers. So whatever product we develop internally, everything passes through the testing at our end itself. We ensure that the product quality and the processes are good, and then only we launch the product. In fact, we don't do only as per the IEC rules, but we go ahead by 3 times of IEC. So whatever, and also we help our customers to develop the product. So whenever there is an new customer coming up for module manufacturing, we help him with the EVA and backsheets, and we allow him to do the testing and other things at our end, and we can also give them the reports beforehand, so that whenever they go for the certification, it is they are ensure that the product is good and it has come out well. So with this, I would like to conclude the introduction part of the company, and I would hand over to Arjun for the technical details.
Thank you, Raja. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Today we're going to cover full cell and half cell technology. Basically, we'll see the difference between full cell and half cell. Now, coming to the introduction, PV manufacturing is continuously it's continuously improving the performance of the devices like PV module, basically to reduce the cost of installation and lower the LOCE. There is few research papers says that the global installation cost of PV projects is declining drastically in past 3 years. The average cost is $340 to 834 kilowatt by 2030 and USD 165 to 481 kilowatt per 2050 compared to an average of 1210 kilowatt in 2018. So we can see the drastic decrease of cost of installation in past few years, and in 2030 it's decreasing around 70% of the installation cost, and there is also we see an decreasing cost of LOCE. It is estimated that by 2030 it will be around 0.02 to 0.08 per kilowatt hour, and it will be around 0.014 to 0.05 kilowatt hour in coming years. So all this reduction in installation cost is nothing but the is going up only because of increasing in module wattage. Coming to the global trend of installation cost, global installation cost has reduced from 4621 USD to 1210 USD from 2010 to 2018, a decrease of 74% in the span of 8 years. In Europe, the installation costs are in the range of 1000 USD per kilowatt peak in 2018. Europe has seen a decline in installation price around 72% on an average. Global trend of LCOE, we see an LCOE dropped by 77% and is comparable of it is in comparable to LOCE of foil fuels. Benefits from basically the cost of LOCE is coming down because of three main reasons. Benefits from competitive procurement, bankability of solar projects has increased, lower cost of financing. These are the main three areas where the LOCE is coming down year by year. And this is one side of the story. The other side of the story is, yes, at the same time, the cell technology is also is rapidly changing. With changing in cell technology, the efficiency of the cells are increasing. Thereby, the module efficiency is increasing. When we say the module efficiency is increasing, it's nothing but with a given area, we are able to produce more energy in the given area. Basically, the market is now it is dominated by PUC technology, and we expected that it will reach its maximum efficiency in a couple of years. Right now, PUC efficiency is rated at 22.2%. We expect that it will go for 22.5 or 22.6. There, the PUC technology will there will be no further scope for increasing in efficiency. After the PUC technology, it may be HJT, heterojunction cells. Even these cells are even older than PUC technology, but it's not quite popular in the industry. Only few companies were promoting this HJT. And after PUC technology, we estimate the TOPCon will lead the race. And with the TOPCon, we expect that it will be around 24.6% efficiency. And the mainstream cells will be PUC, and it will go to TOPCon in coming years. From the cells, it will also go for the module. The industry is taking the advantage of increasing of cell efficiency, thereby increasing the module efficiency. Module efficiency basically is increased what we call as CTM loss, cell to module losses. The one way of increasing the module efficiency or module power is to reduce CTM loss. When we reduce CTM loss, the module efficiency and power will increase. That can be achieved by reducing the resistive losses in the module, or increasing the reliability of the module by using many techniques are available these days. With that, like one of the technology is like half cut cell technology, and the technology is shifting from west to east. That is a major change what we noticed in and module makers are working on 7 advanced module concepts. First, multi-bus bar, glass-to-glass modules, bifacial, off-cut cells, shingles, large wafer formats, paving or tiling technology. In these 7 advanced technologies, today we are talking about half-cut cell module manufacturing process and the advantage of half cell module. compared to full cell module, and what are the challenges with off-cut cell module. There is no clear winner in this technology. We cannot say this this among the 7 technology, which technology will lead the future, but as of now, off-cut technology is gaining some market share. Full cell and off cell design. Why really off-cut technology is required? Why? See, when we use the same efficiency of cell for off-cut and full cell module, we can get with the off-cut cell module, we can get around an average of 7 watt peak more compared to full cell. That is the advantage what the manufacturer gets as well as the end EPC players gets. So within the same area, we get more 7 watt more power. How this it is possible is simple Ohm's law or the power loss. Power loss is nothing but current square into resistance. That is I square R losses. That means when we reduce current, the overall resistance and the current will come down. So the CTM loss will come down. That is basic idea here. When we take a full cell, suppose it is 8 amps. When we cut into 2 pieces, so each portion will produce 4 amps in the given area. When the current in the given area is less, the resistance will come down. So we get when the resistance come down, the CTM loss will come down. And then how much the resistance will come down? It is exactly 1/4 of the full cell. Now coming to the construction of the module of full cell to off cell, the area of the solar cell is cut into 2 halves, resulting in reducing current through the bus bars by half. So as we discussed, as we already saw, when we cut a single cell into 2 pieces, the current of full cell is divided by 2. That is, when we say full cell current is 8 amps, so now it is 4 amps. This decreases the electrical resistance within the bus bar, result in overall increase in efficiency. Yes, the actual increase in efficiency per manufacturer varies from 1.5 to 3%, which is significant. By doing full cell module into cut cell module, we are roughly getting around 1.3 to 3% efficiency increase. Coming to the module design. Now the cut cell is divided into 2 portions. We call it as upper half and the lower half. And this upper half and lower half is connected with a busing copper in between, and thus that busing copper is connected to the JB. And generally in the market, what now for the cut cell, people use split JB. The other advantage we get with split JB, the heat dissipation will be more in split JB compared to 1 JB with 3 diodes. And it is nothing but 2 modules placed under 1 glass. And both the halves are connected. Upper half and the lower half are connected in parallel. So from the lower half we get 4 amps. From the upper half we get 4 amps. So 4 plus 4, 8 amps. It is the current remains same like full module, and the dimension of the module remains more or less like full module, but with higher power and higher efficiency. And the off-cut cell has its own challenge in manufacturing. Basically, the cell suppliers will not provide half cell. They make full cell. We should get the full cell into our factory, and we should cut into 2 pieces with the laser cutting machine. When we're doing this process, that there are chances that the cell may have micro cracks, or it's a mechanical stress applied on the cell to break into 2 pieces. And from quality point of view, there may be other potential disadvantages when it comes to off-cut cell. Solder connection joints are more than full cell module. It is like almost double the full cell module. Why? Because here the busing copper we have extreme both ends, that is top and the bottom and in center. Whereas in full cell module we have busing joints only at the top and the bottom. So the connections are here exactly double. And while cutting solar cell into pieces, it may have some inherent defects which we can't see with our naked eye, but still there is some micro cracks which may happen during this process. And of course, the bad contacts and the cell inherent defects can be detected. We can detect during manufacturing. And in Renesas, we qualify each operator before doing the bussing operation. And once the bussing operator is qualified, we'll allow them to do bussing activities. At the same time, the bussing operator is qualified for once in every 3 months to check whether the performance of that operator remains consistent or not. And at the same time, for every shift, we check the soldering temperature readings, and we calibrate the mission if there is any drift in the temperature settings. Additional steps are involved in this manufacturing. We have in our Renesas, we have like pre-EL, post-EL. We check for EL cracks before lamination, after lamination. So we will take care of these 2 points in the manufacturing process. And the other advantage with cut cell module, yes, if we install module at portrait design, half cut and full cell module, if there is a shadow for the lower part of the module, like we discussed this half cut module has 2 portions, upper portion and the lower portion. For upper half or lower half, if there is shadow on the lower half, the upper half will still produce energy. So when we say upper half is 50% and lower half is 50%, when the shadow created on the lower half, so we lose 50% of the power, but still we get 50% from the upper half. If the same shadow is applied on a full cell, then we get almost like zero power. We'll get no power from the module. Why? Because all the strings are shaded. If all the strings are shaded, then the diodes bypass diodes will be active. Once the bypass diodes are active, we don't get any power. It's like just like a short circuit. We don't get any power from the solar cell. Coming to temperature coefficients, yes, if off cell with the same efficiency of cell, if you make 2 models, half cell and a full cell, and we see the temperature coefficient, if full cell is producing around 80% of rated power at 75 degrees, whereas the half cell will produce around 81 to 82% of the label value. So half cell will produce more power compared to full cell module. And coming to installation of half cell modules, there are 2 types of installations, basically portrait or landscape. Portrait installation, off-cut module and landscape module. The advantage with full cell module is that under the JB there will be a railing where we can fix our cables to the rail so that we can avoid loose connections or hanging cables in the field. Whereas in the off-cut module, yes, we don't have any rail to hold JB cables. We may to use separate cable tray to hold these cables and dress the cables properly. This is the advantage with full cell. Off cell, yes, we should take care while installing modules in the field. If you go for landscape installation, full cell module, yes, it is easy to connect 2 modules in series. Yes, we get standard length of cable of 1.2 meters from the module manufacturer, whereas in the off-cut cell module, the junction box cable will be around 500 mm. Most of the manufacturers provides 500 mm. So it is difficult to connect 2 modules in series in split JB unless we extend the cables with another connector and cable. So if we are planning to install off-cut module in landscape design, we should intimate to our manufacturer that cable length should be planned upfront itself before placing the order, so that they can customize the cable length and they can supply for the projects. Now, if you compare both full cell and half cell module, voltage range, yes, full cell module is normal, whereas when we compare with full cell module, half cell module will be slightly higher side. Temperature coefficients, compared to full cell module, half cell module is lower. Fill factor, full cell module will be in between 76 to 79%, whereas half cut cell module will be 77 to 81%. Module construction, as we discussed, full cell module is easy compared to half cut module. Half cut module is difficult as it is having more solder joints and fixing 3 different JBs. Module efficiency, typically it will be around 16 to 19%, whereas half-cut cell module will be 17 to 21%. And inverter compatibility and size, it depends on the wattage of the module, but same inverter can be used for full cell and half cell module. There will be no change in inverter configuration for full cell and half cell module. Mounting system, yes, industry standard. We can use either portrait or landscape. Both the orientations, the cable size can meet the stringing. But whereas half-cut cell modules, prior planning is required, whether we're installing the half-cut cell module in portrait or landscape. If we are going for landscape, then we should check whether the cable is sufficient to connect module to the other module. Application type, yes, full cell module is residential and commercial and utilities, but whereas half-cut cell module, now it's only commercial and residential. Utility projects, yes, half-cut cell modules are not much considered these days. It's not that much today these days, but slowly it will take its market share in coming years. Cost, yes, full cell module low, half cell module high. You know, the additional process in manufacturing, like cutting the cell into 2 pieces and more solder joints. Technology, full cell module it's more than 25 years in the field, and we know the performance from full cell module. But whereas half-cut cell module is just 10 years old, and now in last 4-5 years we see a increase in market share of half cell module, but it is not proved for 25 years on the field. Availability, it's widely available. Half-cut cell module is available now. It's increasing its market share. Other technology, as full cell module is oldest technology and proven in the field, whereas half-cut cell module is new technology. Warranty remains same for both the technologies. With this, we completed the broad introduction on cut cell and versus full cell module design, construction difficulties, and we saw the comparison of voltage, currents, fill factors, efficiency. Now we'll see the reliability of the module. We picked up this chart from NREL. Basically, we see that the initial power drop from module reliability is from LID, nothing but light induced degradation. And as per NREL studies, the light induced degradation will be at 0.5 to 5%. And they saw connection failures, JV failures, string interconnecting failures, glass broken, loose frame. These are the failures they saw. Infant failures, whereas at the midlife failures is ARC glass AR coating degradation, PID failures, diode failures, cell interconnecting breakage. Whereas they saw the end of the warranty, slowly the EVA discolorization will start, delamination, cracking, cell isolation will start, and corrosion and cell interconnection for a period of time. Broadly, these are the major defects what NREL studied in their reliability studies. We'll see how Renesas is taking care of all these defects, how it is mitigating all this risk while manufacturing the modules. In another study, this is from field data in India, degradation pattern in 500 megawatt plant for a period of 1 year. The study is basically conducted on 500 megawatt plants at different locations for a period of 1 year. In that, they noticed almost all the sites are having cracks. When we say cracks, these are EL cracks, and diode failures, PID affected modules, solder connect failed. Connect failed. That is nothing but a solder joint failed. This is the broad study, and most of the sites saw that cracks are more. And these sites were commissioned in 2014, 13, 17, and they saw an average degradation of close to 15% on an average. Now, what takes to guarantee the performance? Now, see, we saw in the field study from NREL and Indian Research what they done the study. The average power loss is around 15-16% for the different sites. Now, what really we need to take care in order to avoid these defects in the field? First thing, design and development, rigorous design and development. In Renesas, we qualify material at 3-step level. The first level, we qualify materials by doing our internal chamber test at normal IEC. Then we extend to 3 times the IEC. Once this 2 qualifies, then we will certify that material for the BOM, and we'll get it tested by third-party lab. Once this material pass the 3 tests, then we will adopt that material or that component in our BOM. That we follow in 3 steps methodology in Renesas for selecting any component in the module. As the component selection and controlled manufacturing, our lines are fully automated, and its environment process training, and we do accelerated enrollment test to stimulate the 25 years in a lesser duration. We cannot keep our module for 25 years outside and see whether it is degrading or not. We do an enrollment test inside our factory with higher temperatures, higher humidities, and we subject to different stress like thermal cycling, damp heat. Then we can simulate the condition in the factory itself, whether the module can withstand for 25 years or not. And in Hyderabad, the critical the process, and we also understand that the module reliability depends not only on the components but also the process or the assembly process what we are adopted in our lines. The heart of the line is taper stringer, where the interconnecting copper is connected to solar cell, or it is soldered to the solar cell. That we call it as taper stringer, and we got the taper stringer from German Team Technique. We have a laminator from Meyer-Burger, and it is 3-stage laminator for uniform lamination. And we have EL with 23 megapixel with pre and post lamination. That means we check module before the lamination process, and we check after the lamination process. And we have an RTV curing chamber. This ensures that RTV curing is uniformly done. There will be no voids or no uneven curing in RTV. And we use some simulator from Spire, Netherlands, for testing the modules. And Spire is well known in the industry. It's one of the biggest company for flashers in the solar modules. And automated lines, we don't handle our modules manually. It's completely automated. Basically, here we are eliminating the risk caused by manual handling. And again, to recap, to achieve 25 years performance or 25 years warranty of the product, basically the raw material selection is very important, and we adopt in Renesas 3-step methodology. First, we qualify material by doing IEC test inside the chambers in the factory. Once it qualifies that, then we extend that test for 3 times the IEC. Once it is qualified, then we send it for third-party testing. Again, once it is qualified there, then we will add that BOM material in our module. And yes, to do this, we have a product excellence center where we do all these R&D activities, when we do outdoor exposure test as well inside the factory. And certification extended reliability program, that's what we call it as 3 times ISC, and state of art of manufacturing equipments. And our major equipments are sourced from European countries. With this we saw the reliability, and now we will see the quality assurance supported by technology excellence. This is nothing but based on field studies by NREL and Indian field studies. What are the major defects what we are seeing in the field? Now, what is the mitigation we are having or to eliminate these defects in the product? The first, discolorization or delamination of EVA. This will happen because of poor encapsulant quality used in the module or the poor lamination process. In Renesys, as you know, we manufacture EVA, so the total quality of EVA is in our hand. So we control total quality, and we manufacture module as well. We manufacture solar cells, and we manufacture backsheet. So all the critical components which are there in the module are manufactured by Renesys. So we have a total quality control on the complete process. With this, and EVA is manufactured in European technology machineries, which is in-house. And for EVA as well, we adopt the three steps methodology, and we source material for EVA, that is encapsulant, from top class suppliers. And we have quality checks at each and every step. I would like to add one more point here. Our plant in Bangalore has a lab which is Enable accredited, and the Hyderabad plant where we manufacture modules is having a reliability lab, and it is one of the satellite lab for Intertech India. So both the labs are certified by third-party agencies. And other proactive measures, yes, we have a reliability monitoring program in-house. Periodically we check and test and ensure the quality control. This reliability monitoring program, once in every 60 days, we take random samples from production floor, and we do test as per IEC 61215, 61730, and ensure that the power loss should not be greater than 5% of the rated value. The next risk is hotspot, and Renesys is mitigating hotspot by basically the hotspot is caused by brokerage of solder joints, cell defects, reverse current flow, defective bypass diodes. These are the main reasons where the hotspot creates. And in Renesys, yes, this may also happen because of ununiform lamination. We have a consistent lamination. We use 3-step lamination process, and our full flow diode systems are used. Quality encapsulant, where lamination is done uniformly. Taper stringer, this is another source where the solder joints may break in because of loose soldering or loose tap pull strength. Here in Renesys we have taper stringer from Europe, which have consistent soldering, where the tap pulls are uniform across the module. And other proactive measures is quality check of every step, and we do 100% EL at 2 stages in the line, that is pre-EL and post-EL. When we say pre-EL, it is before the lamination, and post-EL after the lamination. So we have total control on quality of the cells or quality of the module what we are sending out from the factory. Snail trail and micro cracks. And snail trail and micro cracks are mainly because of manual handling while manufacturing the modules, and our lines are fully automated. And micro cracks may also happen because of inherent in the cell defects. While we are cleaving or we are cutting the cell into 2 pieces, the micro cracks may generate. Now that we handle carefully by taper stringer, where our taper stringer is from European machines. 100% inspection of solar cells. As you know, we have cell manufacturing in Hyderabad. We do 100% EL before packing the cells, and those cells are again checked in TT taper stringer with visual flexible system, and that's those cells after making into string and making bussing, it is again checked at pre-EL and it goes to lamination, and again the EL is checked post lamination. So there are multiple stages where we check our EL system and ensure the 100% cells were processed, 100% good cells are processed, and our lines are automated. We don't have any manual handling in the line. It's completely automated, and the strings were even handled with robots. Other productimeters, yes, we conduct random thermal cycling to ensure quality. Whereas thermal cycling is like the temperature changes from -45 degrees to +85 degrees in a span of 5 hours. So it will the different components in the model will have different temperature coefficients. We simulate that in chambers. It's nothing but day and night. In the morning we have less temperatures. During the day temperatures goes high. During the night it comes down. The same thing we stimulate in our chambers to see the effect on the module. And we do EL imaging again. Interconnecting breakage failures, as this is one of the major failure as per NREL data. The interconnecting failure basically happens because of the copper what we use in the module, inconsistent soldering thickness, and misaligned soldering along the bus bar. That is, we call it in industry terminology, they call it as tablet cross or tablet misposition. The Renesas assure all the cells were soldered with taper stringers, which is fully automated, and those machines are from Europe. Stringent quality control for measuring the coating thickness of solder wire. Yes, we do a solder wire coating thickness at the incoming stage, that we call it as IQC, incoming quality control, and randomly we will select the samples and send it for third-party testing outside the factory to see whether the coating, is there any variation in the coating of the solder wire, to ensure that the material quality is maintained consistently. Taper stringer is fully automated equipment, and that do join cells. Other pre-attachment, tap will be done at the every start of every shift for ensure consistency. Before starting the shift, the first cell is processed in the taper stringer will go for tap pull test. This tap pull test is nothing but checking the joint strength between interconnecting copper and the solar cell. Once the machine is qualified, then only the machine will be released for regular production. Till that, the machine will, if it doesn't pass, the machine will go for maintenance. In the same way, we also do a continuous random sampling test to ensure quality. We take some cells from the taper stringer and we do tap pull, because we know the tap pull is one of the critical parameter in order to ensure that there should not be any field failures. Backsheet cracking or discolorization. Backsheet basically is made of 3 layers. And we saw from the field studies, the PET layer, that is intermediate layer in the backsheet, get cracks for a period of time if you use low quality PET sheet in the backsheet. If it breaks, then the power will lose power from the module, and we can with the hand we can feel some powder substance coming out from the backsheet. And you know that we also manufacture backsheet manufactured in-house in our Bangalore factory in India, and these machineries are from European technology, and we make 3-layer backsheet, and all the raw materials of the backsheet we also go for 3-step methodology where we qualify internally, extend reliability, and third-party testing. And our backsheet is having high interlayer addition, that is greater than 5 Newton per centimeter, and high moisture barrier, less than 1.6 gram. per square meter per day. And we also do a pressure cooker test for ammeters. We also do a reliability monitoring for PV modules randomly and test ensure quality. Basically, the last potential induced degradation in industry it is called as PID. The reasons it can be because of voltage, heat, or humidity. When the system voltage is going higher and higher, the risk for PID is more. The main reasons for PID is cells are not PID resistant. EVA grade is not PID resistant. These are the two major reasons why the module will see PID. Now you know that we manufacture our cells in-house and we use PID resistant cells to manufacture modules, and we have in-house German cell manufacturing line and with an inline PID tester. So all the cells which we manufacture inside the factory will go for online PID tester to ensure that the cells are PID resistant. And all these PID resistant cells are manufactured in-house using German technology. And we also have inside 100% EL imaging to ensure that there will be no micro cracks or there will be no cracks or no defects. We also do a reliability monitoring program for PV modules randomly at sampling basis to ensure that there will be no failure in the field. What we discussed that we do extended reliability. Basically, the orange, which are highlighted in orange, are indented as per IEC or UL. That is IEC 61215, IEC 61730. But we do beyond IEC. That's basically 3 times of IEC. That indicates in purple color here, extended IEC test. Before doing this extent, that the same way we follow for our reliability monitoring program. Once in every 60 days, we take random samples and do all these tests as per IEC, and we'll extend the test for 3 times. Basically, we do visual inspection. After it is followed by EL imaging, wet leakage, flash test, and dry insulation test. Once that is done, we will keep the modules for light induced degradation, that is LID, 5 kilowatt hours per meter square, or it's equivalent to 1.5 sunny days. Once the modules qualify these tests, then it goes for hotspot. Then the modules are divided into four lots. First lot will go for hotspot, and it will under natural sunlight. It stays for 2 weeks. Once it completes 2 weeks, we do EL and flash test to ensure that what is the power drop in that, and we extend this hotspot test up to 12 weeks. For every 2 weeks, we'll recheck the EL and flash again. And the other set of modules will go for UV exposure, 15 kilowatts per scale, and we do have UV chamber in our lab. And after UV, it goes for thermal cycling, 50 cycles. Again, it goes for humidity freeze for 10 cycles. Here we extend the humidity freeze cycles up to 50, and after every 10 cycles, we will check the power loss or the degradation happened to the module. Thermal cycling, the next set of modules go for thermal cycling. That's 100 cycles. As per IEC, it is 200 cycles, but we do at 600 cycles. If after every 200 cycles, it goes for flash test EL to ensure that what is the power drop at different testing conditions. And damp heat as per IEC, it should be 1000 hours. We do 3000 hours. It's basically 3 times the IEC. And PID, potential induced degradation, as per IEC, it is 96 hours. We do for 288 hours to ensure that our modules are PID free. And all these tests are done to ensure that our modules will perform in the field 25 years plus. That is the whole motto of doing all this test in the lab. And we do this test once in every 60 days. I think I covered everything. Thanks, thanks, Raja. Raja, we are open for question and answers.
Okay, so thank you, Arjun and Raja, for taking us through the slide deck. So may you have any question, please write it in the sidebar. You will click on the chat part, and then you can type in your question, and then Raja and Arjun will attempt to answer them all. So please go on and ask anything.
I just want to add one line here. We just quickly gone through the slides, so we want to take more question and answers at the end. That's the.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, I can see a question from Mr. Krishkant Srivatsava. You have organized a lot of seminars in schools and other. Yeah, we can talk about it. It's not a problem. I think we can help you out. It's not a big issue. We'll do that. Oh, I can see another question. I think Arjun, you can take this. Could you talk about advantages of bigger cells? Is there any advantage of going with bigger cells?
Yes. Yes. An advantage of using bigger cells. That's the advantage what we can see right now. It is not proven in the field. If you go a bit difficult, the uniformity of lamination bigger cells, bigger modules.
What do you call it? Bend on the module since the frame size or the size of the modules get bigger.
You see, a few companies already released few modules with bigger cell size. The size and the weight of the module will also go high. So it will. It's not only the thing. The one part that we get more power from the given area, but also parallelly it will increase the cost of structure. What we are using for the installing that module, but the structure should hold that load. Yes, based on the module glass. Basically, in module, the weight comes with the glass. If glass is bigger, yes, weight of the module will go higher. So it's like the frame can handle that. Why? Because even that module has passed IEC 61215. They'll take some necessary precautions to increase the strength in the frame. And regarding bending, yes, it will see some bending, and we saw, and we also do that for bigger modules. We keep one more extra support on the backside in order to avoid this bending. That's right.
Okay, and I have got one more question here. Is there a comparative chart between the described cells in webinar? Do we have something ready? I think we don't have something ready. No, we'll have to do something.
Yes.
The different kind of cells that we described. So, Mr. Prashant, I think we have to get back. We might have to prepare it. And Arjun, there is one more question. Can you please explain again the difference about installation? Whether it is easier to install cut cell?
It is easy to install. Why? Because in full cell module, the rail which is holding the module is near the junction box, so the cables can pass through that rail. Whereas in cut cell module, the JBs are at the center of the module, where cables will be hanging. There will be no support for cables to fix the cables. And only put against the backside of the modules to hold these cables. That's the first difficulty in cut cell. And if you install landscape, the cable length may not be sufficient to connect two modules in series. Whereas in full cell modules in the market right now, even with Renesas, you get 1.2 meter as a standard variant, so you can two modules in series easily without adding any escape. Whereas in cut cell module, you generally get split. Maybe with split tree, cable size is limited to 500 mm. 500 mm, you cannot connect a string, so it is better to install a landscape module. If you decide you'll go with the cut cell module for bigger projects and landscape fashion, at the manufacturer that you need a bigger cable's length. String will be easy at the site, but to answer your cell is installed compared to cut cell.
And we have one more question, related question here. Is the half cell module must be installed in portrait manner, or you will have shadowing? Should it be in portrait, or is there anything like that? Any guideline?
We can both portrait and landscape. There is no restriction. But the thing is, when we're installing the modules, we should see the shadow pattern. If shadow is there for the top. Two parts, upper half and lower half. If the shadow is creating on both upper half and lower half when we're installing portrait, then we should not do that. We should go for landscape. The shadow should not affect both the parts. It should affect only the one part. If it affects both the parts, then there is no difference between full cell module and cut cell module. So it depends on the location where we installing and the shadow pattern, how it will affect the module. But we can install both landscape as well as portrait.
Okay,
Arjun. Yes.
Yeah, I have one more question. Do you see the trend in market that everything is fully shifting towards the cut cell technology?
Yes, from East. Yes, from China, people are pushing for cut cell module. Basically, the reason for cut cell module, yes, within the given area, we'll get more power. So the conversion rate or the converting material into module. Yes, people are shifting towards cut cell, but the thing is, the cut cell modules are not proven in the field. It is just 10 years old modules. The first model, we can say 10 years. But people are looking for cut cell. Why people are looking for cut cell? In order to handle the bigger cell size. And when we go for bigger cell, currents will increase. When the current increases, I square R losses increases. So in order to mitigate that or balance that, people are cutting cell into two pieces. So the current, they're bringing current down. When they bring current down, the copper and CTM loss, cell to module losses will come down. That is the whole idea of cut cell.
Got it, Arjun. And I have one more question. Can you throw some light on the bifacial full cells versus half cut cells? Is there any preference or the generation or?
There are very few studies on this. Yes, people say a bifacial with cut cell will produce more power than bifacial in full cell module. But the challenge here is like full cell or cut cell. Cut cell is more prone to field failures because it is having more manual intervention compared to full cell modules. But because the technology right now which is available is all the machineries or all the tools what is available for manufacturing is configured for full cell modules. Now slowly the people are changing the technology towards cut cell modules, so there is some stages which they handle modules manually. But full cut cell module will produce more power than full cell module bifacial.
Okay, thanks Arjun. I don't see any further questions here. Katrina, can you see some?
I believe there are no further questions. So if you don't have any questions for now, well, thank you again for joining us today. It was great having you. Thank you, Arjun and Raja, for this knowledgeable webinar. And please do not hesitate to contact us anytime with any questions you may have after the webinar. We will send all the participants the presentation. And then on behalf of RenewSys and Beckett Solar, we wish you a great rest of the day. And thank you all.